We are back. Happy New Year. Right, I'm going to keep this video relatively short. This is just a starting point for us, but as I mentioned, the back end of last year, there's going to be some changes, and the old accountability form system has been working out over Christmas while we've been away getting fat. Right, so essentially this whole thing now is going to be built and based around the fact that people need to have more focus and more energy in various forms, emotionally and physically, and then ultimately what that will do will help people become more motivated, because when they naturally are more motivated or feel motivated, they are going to find it easier to improve their habits, and that's ultimately what this whole thing is about at the end of the day, because then when you can start being more consistent with it, you get better results, right? You know that. Okay, that's the simple kind of overview of it, and this is just there to not fix, cure those things. It's just another thing that we need to use to help, because for a very long time now, I've had that belief that just turning up at the gym and eating a little bit better really just does not do the job. Okay, there are other things that people need to do, but the personal trainer side of me, it's always found it tough to be able to apply that, because there's only so much time I have in my own personal life and what people are willing to, let's say, invest into. So there's always been this kind of niggling thing going on in my head, that how can I do something that is cost effective, time effective, but also, and the main thing is simple, that people can then do more in their own time, but with, let's say, our support. So it makes the personal training, the exercise side of things, that I need to eat better, work, okay, rather than it work against you and you constantly yo-yo in and you're smacking your head against the wall. Because I don't find it fun at all in any way just to take people's money as a personal trainer, and they don't really get the results that I know that they could if they really wanted to. And let's be honest, most people would like to improve, it's just that they do struggle. So how can we improve that? This is going to be it this year, because this whole thing comes from a series of things that have helped me over certainly the last few years, but I've simplified it in a way that it's a good starting point, let's say, a first pass over, let's say, these things that I certainly believe are important and have worked for me, and I know have worked for a lot of other people. So how are things going to work now, right? Okay, definitely rambled on a little bit more there than I wanted to. So as I mentioned before, we're going to do this in a way where you don't always constantly feel like you're kind of doing this thing that you maybe sometimes you don't want to do. Okay, because again, that's not my how I want to go about things. I don't want people having to always do things they don't want to do. They are going to have to do that, but I want them to essentially kind of want to do this rather than feel that they have to do it. So it's going to be more of a 3-week approach, hence, right, this thing's now called H21. Okay, so that's partly behind that name. So it's 3 weeks on, 1 week off, cooling week. But you're never going to be off, because that week off is when you're going to kind of reset, reevaluate, and then make new plans for the next month. And it's we're going to do it in 2 ways. We're going to still use this group, okay, how we ended it last year, on the Monday mornings, just with the figures and stuff, because people like that. But there's also going to be a smaller kind of like one-to-one approach behind it as well, because I do want to add more into it, and always have, because I don't want it to just be a kind of like ticking boxes kind of like exercise, because that's going to be boring and people won't realize the value of this in that way. So that's something I want to do, and I'll make it clear. I've always said this, is you're going to have to invest in your own time. You've already done it with money, but that's not enough, right? It helps me, but it doesn't help you. Okay, you're going to invest some more of your time, but, and this is the most important bit, if you do, you get mine, okay? If you don't, I'll focus on other people, okay? And I don't mind saying that, because at the end of the day, I have to protect myself, because my energy gets zapped up at the moment because of the way things are, me being busy, and that definitely hit me at the end of last year. Hence I've taken a longer break over Christmas, so I'm coming back with a plan, clear intentions of how it's going to be, right? So invest in your time, and you've got me on your shoulder, behind you, on your back, whatever you want to call it, right? So that's kind of how it's going to work, where in the group you would do the thing every Monday, but then after the, let's say, the 3 weeks, there can be a bit more of, let's say, me, but that's based on your form and stuff, which we'll kind of go into a little bit. So there's 3 of them now. Look at that, laminated. Yes, I know how to do it. So I don't want to make this sound sort of overwhelming. It really isn't. It's actually like really, really simple. It might feel difficult at the beginning, but when you do it, it's just like being at the gym. It gets easier by doing it and being more consistent, and it becoming part of, let's say, your daily and weekly and monthly routine, which kind of is the whole idea of this. It's having a monthly approach, but a weekly one and also a daily one, which works really, really well in my opinion. So you already know about what was the old accountability form last year, which is now called your health performance indicator, right? So just like at work, maybe with you guys, or if you're running a business, you probably have KPIs, okay? I did when I worked in an office, so I guess you do, and I guess that's still a thing. So that's my kind of own version of it, HPI, right? So that's exactly the same, right? Where you make the agreements and then you tick and then you colour code and then it's visual for you. So the other 2 bits, so the first bit is, and they're kind of question based, a little bit more self-explanatory, although one of the parts has some bits that you won't understand. So the mental side of it, it's planning to win, where at the start of the month you're going to set out what do you want to achieve in over the next 21 days, and then a series of questions to help like reinforce why that's important to you, because if you realize it's not, you might want to go back and change that, okay? And then you will reevaluate at the end of the month, and then that puts you in a position to then go, right, it's the next month. Do I move on? Have I progressed? Have I struggled with an area? Do I need to stick to this and do it a different way? Blah de blah, right? Okay, basic questions, won't take you long, but helps you get a bit more focused and give you a bit of direction, and if possibly more important, when you've put it on paper and you can show this to me, and that would be obviously fantastic, we're both on the same page, right? Okay, I know what you want, you know what you want, we get into the gym, we're both going in the same direction, rather than I've got an idea and then it's not kind of what you sort of had, like, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So we only do that once a month, right? Okay, so what you find is with the 3 forms, it's not like, oh, I've got all these bits of paper. It's not like that. So you do that once a month, and then there's obviously the bit that and then there's the other bit, which is going to be challenging for people, and this is the part that people are probably going to struggle with or don't want to do. And this isn't really part of the accountability as such, and you don't have to share this with me, certainly not in the group and stuff like that, but it's more of it's like a self-journaling type approach, self-coaching, and it's like the emotional side of health, because you know, if you are stressed, the physical part is just not going to work, right? Okay, because eating better, exercising is quite easy and simple at the end of the day, but why do people not do it? Now that's a different question. So this is kind of like a little bit of a soft approach to how can we kind of turn around, let's say, negative emotions that may have happened to us in the day, reframe it, give us a different perception, whatever you want to call it, and then realize, actually, yeah, okay, it's not so bad after all. Over time, you probably start to realize the importance of that. You might not at the beginning, but as I say, you've got to kind of like do the work and give it time. It's not part of the accountability, but I absolutely kind of recommend you do it. It's things that we can discuss more one-to-one and going forward over the next few weeks and months and year, and I get to learn maybe more about what's going on in your own life, because if I understand that, it makes the other stuff easier to kind of like deal with and program. Because, you know, if I think, why did that person leave the gym today like that wasn't that person, and then I start thinking, have I done something wrong, you know? But if we can, you know, start to build a better relationship, I don't mean it like that, a better relationship, a stronger relationship, right? Because we already have a good relationship, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So there's like the 3 parts, and there's going to be other videos, a bit more an instructional video over these bits and bobs, these new forms and processes. So I just want to get started with it, and then we'll build on this, because certainly over the first month it's just going to be us guys and maybe 1 or 2 of my clients who I've mentioned it to, but ideally over time I want to start using this as maybe an online platform that I can help other people who aren't here for personal training, that's going to help their own kind of training, basically. So yes, so I'm just going to pop the forms in. You're going to have a look at them. As I said, most of it's going to be self-explanatory. There's going to be a couple of bits on the emotional form that you're going to go, what's this all about? Or I don't even know what that is. And I don't want you to worry about that at the beginning, because we'll build on this and move it forward. The main thing is that we get started again. We understand there's new process, and this isn't going away. But I think the mentality side of it is certainly where we want to put our focus. And let's get some plans for the next month, and then let's just see where we go with it. So it's work in progress. There's more stuff that I want to do, but I've used these last few weeks to kind of finally get this thing where I really want to start it to be kind of. What I do recommend, though, absolutely, is get a notepad, right? Because, you know, we don't want to be having like hundreds of bits of paper floating around, because who wants that? But there won't be any excuses like, oh God, I haven't got a printer and all that kind of shit that we've had before. You will print off the HPI form, because I will want a picture of that after the 3rd week, because I think what I'm going to do is record it, because then I can see patterns. So that's my commitment to you. So print that one off, but with parts 1 and 2, the mental and the emotional side of it, get a notepad, okay? Because the questions you'll remember the questions off by heart over time, and you start to just jot these things down, and it almost will become a bit journally kind of thing. So I've got the forms, and I like to do these things nicely because it looks good and professional. But yeah, I think what it will be is get a notepad. You'll always print out the HPI form, and what you'll find, I'll just quickly show you, is it's now smaller. Woo. So there's 2 that come on an A4 sheet, so you print that off, you don't have to think about it for 2 whole months. Right, so that's it. That video was not as short as I wanted it to be, but it's important. So let me know that you've watched this, and I'm going to pop the forms in, and then we're going to start this. Well, we're going to start it straight away. Certainly the mental side of it, you can start thinking about it, and send the forms to me. Just screenshot it as long as you can read it. And then obviously from Monday we get back to doing the old accountability, the HPI form, and getting back to our old ways and see how we get on with this. And we're going to make this work for you and for me. Right then.